And talking about A-list stars, Thomas, today you've got an A-list star kind of at the top of the pecking order, a guy that's made a little bit of money this year with a superhero film that's not your typical superhero film, and it is part of a franchise, though, we will say that.
Yeah, so you are referring to Mr. Ryan Reynolds of the Deadpool franchise, and this is, I think it was the highest grossing R-rated film of all time, Deadpool and Wolverine, this year, directed by Shawn Levy, also starring Hugh Jackman, of course. And so Critics' Choice Association had a virtual press conference that I was able to submit a question to for Sean, Ryan, and Hugh, and you'll get to see that question answered here. The question I asked was specifically related to a certain action set piece that, if you've seen the film, it comes in the third act, and it's a tracking shot, a oneer as they call it, where the camera is panning from one side just across the entire street, essentially, and it's just capturing this mass chaos, but it's controlled mass chaos. And when I saw that in the theater, my first thought was it reminded me of the film Old Boy, the South Korean film directed by Park Chan-wook. And there's a famous oneer action scene in that, and I was like, this has to be a point of reference for this set piece that we see here in Deadpool vs. Wolverine. So I got to ask Shawn Levy about that and Ryan, and yeah, so they were gracious enough to answer that, and I think I'm pretty satisfied with what the insight they provided to me. So yeah, it's really cool that we get a chance to do this kind of things.
So a very good question, and definitely a touch point for that scene, but not the inspiration for that scene. In fact, I can't take credit for that single shot left to right tracking of violence. Ryan, when we first started talking about this, came to me and said, I've always had this Madonna song, Like a Prayer, stuck in my head. And I think it would be so unexpected to do a single shot, laterally moving, unedited, uninterrupted oneer of violence to that song. And so it was Ryan's idea first, and then I spent months during pre-production looking for...
You had to do all the work.
Yeah, I mean, he had the big idea, and then I wanted to see, well, where have people done these single kind of choreographic violence scenes? Old Boy was definitely something I watched, and there were aspects of it that were like, yes, let me learn from that, and here's how ours will differentiate. So while it wasn't the inspiration, it was definitely one of the references as we prepared to pull it off.
Yeah, I one of my inspirations for that was the and I know it makes no sense, is the Bjork It's Oh So Quiet music video. That one had some wild visuals, and they used cranes that did things that I'd never seen before. I think it was Spike Jonze. I forget who directed it, but it's amazing. And that was sort of that served as that. And then the Madonna song is it's just so emotional, and it's like both. It inspires glee and joy, but it's also operatically tragic. It's just all of these things coming together.
But as a metaphor for what we were trying to do, we don't think of Like a Prayer as, that song makes me cry. But the whole mandate for this movie was take what's expected of this and subvert it. Take a Marvel movie, subvert it. Take a Deadpool Wolverine movie, subvert expectation. Take a Madonna classic and reorchestrate it with new choir and strings and horn sections, constantly to kind of accept expectation and then surprise.
And that's why I love that you guys acknowledge comedy, because comedy at its best is working in concert with incredibly intense drama or emotion, and it's they really need each other to do it properly. Otherwise, you have a whole movie of just gags, or you have an entire movie of just pure sadness.
Thomas, I really love that. And while the question was sent to the director, Ryan Reynolds had to jump in because actually he was connected to it. So it's pretty cool that you got a chance to do that.
Yeah, and you've been able to see over the course of this entire press circuit over the past few months for this film that Sean, Ryan, and Hugh are just, they're basically creative soulmates. Their ideas just blend so beautifully together, and their personalities, and that they have such genuine joy for working together, and that comes across in the films they make, and also just in their interactions of talking about those films like we saw here.